don't know why it does that. Interesting. Cool. Sometimes I hit Control C and it only takes like part of it, and then there we go. That worked. So good. Let me get this. Let's put this here too. 1 second. All right. Cool. Whoop. Awesome. 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 Good. 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 All right. Well, I hope everybody had a great trading day today. And whew, what a day today, guys! Wake up this morning and it's like, what? We were down like 45 points early this morning, 45, 50 points. Then we're down 60 points. It's like, what happened? I was like looking for news of anything that happened overnight. No, just down. Just down 60 points. Whatever. And then, it's kind of funny. This reminds me of the last. Kind of epic run that we had, before the last move. It's just like every drop, right? Like they would do it overnight and then they just buy the dip during the day, right? So that's kind of what we saw today. But anyway, guys, so here we are. We're just, fun week this week, short week this week. So we're wrapping up our series here on Let's Track Roku and Tesla, both with some very interesting moves this week, and could be setting up for some bigger stuff going into next week. So we're going to take a look at those charts here in a little bit. But before we get started, everything we're going to talk about is for educational purposes only and not investment advice. So please take a moment to review this disclaimer. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look and see where we left off in the market here today. And then we're going to take a look at the futures and see what we're up to or down to here this evening and what might be setting up going into tomorrow. And then we will go through the topic and then we'll take questions and chart requests. So let's get started. All right, let me make sure I can see the screen to make sure I get it. Oh, there we go. All right, cool. So guys, SPX we're down 37 points today, but it was down a bit deeper earlier. Still green here on the monthly chart. Weekly chart possibly turning into a hanging man pattern. McClellan oscillator starting to drop a little bit here, so let's see what happens once we get over the minus 100. If it does get under the minus 100, we'll start to look for setups, right? Sort of like the kind of Corona crash right here. We'll look for some bearish breakdowns and see where we go from there. But in the meantime, we're still just kind of grinding our way up. The daily chart, again, kind of a shot across the bow type thing. A very, very tricky day today. Ended up with a doji on this gap down right at the ADMA, right? So the past 2 days have been just big dip buying days, and today was a big dip buying day too, but they really didn't get enough force to kind of get it back into the prior day's range. They tagged it, they filled the gap, and then they came down off of it, leaving us with complete indecision, a complete indecision candle right here, right at the ADMA too. So it's just like, is it bullish, is it bearish? We don't know. So tomorrow's could be a very, very interesting day going into Friday. We might see some activity tomorrow too, and who knows, possibly tonight. But it seems like today we'll take a look at it a little bit. The European market opened up at 2 o'clock and just started shorting it, having some fun. So some pretty wild stuff there. Here's our wave count. So it is possible we are bullish here still. 1, 2, 3. Remember the upward channel right here? Broke out below it. Then we have this A, B fake out, C. And at this point now, we could be working on a larger impulsive move up. So what we do here is we take a look at this. Do this, and we basically just bounced off of the 618 here today. So it is possible, right, that we could see something like, right, this is like your wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, right, and we could see another push up here for a wave 5, right, and ultimately get us here to the wave 5 of 3, right, and then we'll see how that goes from there. So that's definitely something that we're tracking going into tomorrow. I think tomorrow's price action will be very revealing, right, so we definitely want to keep an eye on that. Let's take a look at the S&P futures and see what we're up to or down to here this evening. And so, if you guys remember yesterday, we were kind of topped out last night, right? So if you recall, we drew this. We drew this kind of triangle up here, and we just kind of had this toppy triangle. We had this going on, right? So it's just like they just couldn't get above this level, right? And then once we broke down below here, this is about later 9 o'clock after our call or after the show, we had that. And then 10 o'clock we were kind of down, just kind of chopping around. And then 2 o'clock comes the European Open. We're just kind of flat here, hanging onto this zone, forming a fresh zone, and then boom, they just started shorting this thing, and it just kept on going, right? And the volume really came in pretty decently here too, right? We had very above average volume on this one, and just kept on going on into the early morning. It's like, what's going on here? And then we kind of got this a tricky harmonic in here, right? You can kind of look at it here, and here, right? We kind of got this this bit of a move on this one, right? So kind of a short type move, and then kind of came down off of that into the end of the day, and this is crazy choppy, megaphone close. So kind of tricky stuff, right? There's a couple levels that we definitely want to keep an eye on, and one very interesting one is this, right? So if you kind of go back up here and you kind of track this here from these geometric lines, right? You can see we have not gotten over this line yet, right? So that has served as resistance, and so we want to see if we can get over above that this evening, and if the bulls can start to step up and get this thing going again. Otherwise, we may actually pull back a little bit farther tomorrow and start to test some of these lower points of control that we've been talking about. So you got this geometric line right here, and you got this geometric line right here, which I think will be important to track tonight. And that gives us a little bit of a barracuda type formation. See a little fish head right here? So it gives a little barracuda type formation going into the evening. So we'll see where that ends up in the morning. But keep an eye on these geometric lines. We'll see where we end up in the morning. So cool stuff there. But anyway, guys, let's finish up this topic here and where we've been tracking Roku and Tesla this week. Both very interesting chart patterns with some interesting moves recently. And even this week have been giving us some pretty cool patterns too. So that's what we've been going over this week. So let's go ahead and get into it. So let's take a look at Roku. So what did Roku do today? So Roku ended up today, right? So it had a big down day yesterday, right? So big down day, and of course it gapped down today, but they bought the dip with some strength here today. So that was kind of one of the things I liked about it. So it came back into the prior day's range, and it was really right at the level that we were talking about, right at this closing gap. Now they didn't quite fill the closing gap, but sometimes if it reverses off of the closing gap, they filled the open gap. Sometimes if it reverses off the closing gap, we do get some bullish action off of that. And that got us into the back into yesterday's range and closing in yesterday's range. So it is possible. It is possible that this is a wave 4 move, right? So we can actually start to maybe start to track this, right? So we've got this going on here. We've got the wave 4. And you can see I drew the 382. Retrace right here. So wave 4s often go to a 382. So it is possible this is done, right? You can see a little A, B, C type move in here. So let's keep an eye on Roku tomorrow and see if it's ready to continue to work its way up and maybe work on a wave 5 move. So it is very possible for Roku. Again, we were not surprised at the recent pullback, right? It got very extended over a, let's show you the, let's see if I've got it here. Not this one. Anyway, close enough. This is our symmetrical moves, right? We got pretty extended over the symmetrical move right there and kind of pulled back off of it. And yesterday, not a bad day for an overnight short, right? So we had increased volume, close below the 80 MA. We did get a nice gap down, but it wasn't a hold, right? Because they sure bought the dip. Now, tricky thing, we got an upper shadow off the 80 MA, so I'd really like it to get above today's highs, therefore over the 80 MA, and try to get going again to really kind of work on that wave 5 move that we were talking about. Okay, so that's Roku. Pretty interesting one there. Let's take a look at Tesla. So Tesla, guys, big dip behind this one too, guys. This is really cool because we've been talking about it, right? So how important these levels are. So let me get a couple of these Fibonacci's off here right now. But this is a major zone that we've been talking about right here. And one of the big things here was the gap fill, right? So we took care of the gap fill here today. We also are right at the 200-day moving average, right at the 50-day moving average, and we bounced off the bottom of the cloud. And we got a big move off of that, right? The other thing that is important too is if we put a geometric line on this one, right? We kind of just go right there. Look at that. So look at that. Boom, 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 and then boom. So a big bounce. We'll talk about a huge point of interest right here for Tesla, and they really stepped up and bought it today. So is this overall bullish? Well, it's kind of tricky. I put a fresh wave count on this one right here. So it is possible. Just incredible stuff. And of course, we talked about yesterday that this was a kind of a wave 1 move, wave 2 down, and we said that if it crossed over that, it would invalidate that as a wave 4, right? Unless it was some sort of leading diagonal, which I really don't think it is. But nice bounce off the channel bottom, right? Geometric line, all that stuff. So what I think is I recounted it. And what I'm looking at here is still a bullish count, potential bullish count right here because of today's strong move with increased volume, is a 1, 2. Now, we still haven't gotten any news out, right, on the Plaid. Tesla still hasn't released any public information that I can tell so far on the Plaid meltdown the other day. So that's still been a big move and kind of a big thing and weighing heavy on it. But we do have this 1, 2, 1, 2 type look to it. But I think based on this move, instead of this being a corrective pattern, that this was actually and we can kind of do this right. This actually was the wave 4 triangle in here, and that we pushed up, right, to get the to finish a truncated wave 5 to finish a wave 1. So that is a possibility, right? These are kind of a little skewed because of the candlestick versus the other pattern right here. Then we kind of have this A, B, C type pattern down, which means that this was just a wave 1. So wave 1 is done, right? So we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a valid wave right here for a wave 1, and this could be an A, B, C wave 2, which is still good, right? So basically from the lows, if you just kind of go from here. to up here, right, that is basically giving us a 50% retrace, right? Wave 2s, we like at the 618. It would have been cool if it got there. It could still do it tomorrow, so definitely want to keep an eye on that here. But we could be basically being a, kind of a 1 2 1 2 type thing. We could be working on a larger wave 3 of 3 up, right? So, or at least a wave 3 of 3 up. So I think that's definitely something to keep an eye on and consider going into tomorrow. But a big bounce off of a very, very high energy level here, a big level of interest, multiple major moving averages, big areas of prior resistance as potential support, the cloud itself, and then the bottom of the geometric line or the channel right here too. So huge level right there on Tesla today and a big bounce. And you can see on the intraday, it wasn't super duper clean, right? But you did get kind of this wave 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of 5-ish type move here. So we did get an impulsive wave up today on Tesla. So good stuff. Hopefully you guys found that helpful on those two stocks, and now we'll see what how they end up playing out into the end of the week, and maybe they'll give us some setups going into next week as well. But again, two very interesting names with some fun chart patterns that we went through this week, and hopefully you guys found that helpful. And at this point now, if anybody's got any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those in the chat window. We'll go through as many as we can, try to wrap up as early as possible so we can all get a good night's sleep and have another awesome trading day tomorrow. So let's take a look here. So OTA sent a few in here via Twitter, so let's take a look at these. So we've got NVIDIA on the radar. So interesting stuff here with NVIDIA, right? So we had a bearish engulf of the semiconductors were kind of like the big tell yesterday about, I guess, the gap down today, right? There wasn't much. We were, the VIX was a little bit perky, right? The puts were starting to, get a little bit perky on a lot of names, but the semiconductors overall as a sector were really weak. Lots of bearish engulfing candles on the semis, right? So semis often can lead the market, right? And so we got this bearish engulfing candle on NVIDIA yesterday. Now, granted, it was not with increased volume, so it was like, maybe let's get to the 80 MA. We got a big gap down on that one. So today, we're looking at a spinning top on this one, kind of a doji. So we'll see if it turns into a doji sandwich down, if the market continues to be weak tomorrow, or if it just kind of gets back above the 80 MA and then starts to work its way back up to 1,000 before it gets to the stock split coming up in about a week and a half or so. So definitely something to keep an eye on there. The Qs, of course. Big bounce here off the 80 MA, right? So kind of filled the gap, but did not really quite close into yesterday's range. So definitely keep an eye on that, see if we can get over the highs and get going on that one. Otherwise, a little bit of caution there. And then mRNA, big bullish engulfing candle on this one off the last move down. It's kind of a little bit of a harmonic move here. I'll show you guys this one here. Right? It's kind of a little mini harmonic bounce off of this one here today, but this sector was really strong today. So good stuff on that. See if we get some follow through on mRNA. Great stuff. Appreciate it, Otas. Alphabets, what's going on? And Alphabet sent these in via Twitter as well. So let's take a look at this. We got Vizio on the radar here. So again, nice green candle on this one. Just kind of grinding a little bit. Let's, over the 80 MA. Let's even get over those highs and kind of get going off of that. TNDM. TMDM with a little bit of a hammer here at the 80 MA. So again, we really want to see it get over these levels up here to really show some strength. But, at least it was green with some volume there today. And then LMT, let's take a look. LMT with an inside day here, again, at the bottom of this channel. So let's see if we can try to get above there and get going. Now, Boeing had some good news today, right? They're talking about selling some airplanes back to China or something like that. And so, if Boeing is strong tomorrow and has a good Friday, maybe LMT will follow along with it, right? Same sector. So good stuff there. They're both heavily weighted in the ITA sector, right? The aerospace sector. So definitely something to keep an eye on there. Speaking of aerospace, thanks, Alphabet. So Shirley sent a few in via email. Shirley, hope you're doing great out there. Let's take a look at SPCE with just an epic day today. It really was. This was like the one name on our list this morning on the live stream that was just standing out above all the other names, right? Everything else is kind of like, choppy, but space was just going today, right? So really big moves here. I mean, you can count this multiple ways, but kind of 1, 2, 3, 4. It's kind of like wave 5 up after hours. So let's see if that gets any follow through going into tomorrow. But just a big dip buy on this one, and then kind of started to squeeze up here a little bit too. VLO, again, keep an eye on the, kind of the oil names. They've been kind of struggling here. Energy names have been really struggling recently, right? So just kind of see how it holds right here. We're getting back to this old range, right? So see if that holds a support. Could be interesting. MET, let's take a look. MET with a nasty gap down on this one. Wow, big volume on this one on a down move on that one. That does look very bearish. So that's definitely one to keep an eye on the radar right there. Not super duper awesome with options, but we got that going on. CSX got crushed today. Big breakdown candle on this one. Lost a major level on this. Infrastructure, monopolizing railroads, some sort of news out of the White House today. Anyway, so CSX got hit pretty hard on that one today. So see if that gets any follow through the downside. Might want to test the 200-day moving average just below it. And then HIG, so another one too like MET, right? So increased volume here, breaking down just a weak sector on this one. So good stuff, Shirley. Really appreciate it. The Nest, what's going on? Going to see it. MDGL. So let's see. So MDGL. Bullish candle here today over the ADMA. Not as much volume as I'd like to see, but kind of a biotech name here too, so a pharma name. So just a little bit of caution off of that. But you do have this kind of geometric thing right here that it's testing. So keep an eye on that too. And any data coming out soon? I mean, yesterday was the Fed minutes. That was kind of the big thing. And you can kind of look at this morning as like some indigestion, right, on the Fed minutes, and then they just kind of bought the dip. Job numbers. Typically oftentimes we see those coming out on Friday. So just see how that goes. I'm not sure if we've got NFPs coming out tomorrow, but definitely something to, let me double check here and see what we got tomorrow. Hold on one second, guys. One sec. What we got tomorrow morning? Anything? Hold on, my computer's a little slow. Canadian data, U.S. exports, wholesale numbers at 10 o'clock. Yeah, so it doesn't look like we've got job numbers coming in tomorrow. So nothing really big coming up tomorrow. There is a Fed monetary policy report, I believe, at like 10 o'clock. So keep an eye out for that, and then the Baker Hughes recount. So really not too much coming into tomorrow, right? So again, we'll just have to wait for next week to see if anything interesting is happening there. So oil's been a big kind of headliner recently, so you can kind of keep an eye on that. But otherwise, tomorrow might just be a wild price action day, right? So we'll see if the volatility continues into tomorrow. So good stuff there. Armando, good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're doing well and had a good day too. Yeah, let's take a look at now. So so now doing pretty good right here. Again, we have this 2.618 harmonic, right? So we can see if that continues to work its way out. Otherwise, the next target up here is the 3.618. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on too. Lily. Yeah, nice engulfing candle here today. Volume's really not there, but it looks like it's holding the ADMA here still. So definitely something to keep an eye on too. Constellation brand. So again, big pullback here below the ADMA. Pot names have been tough a little bit recently, but there was some news from the Senate. Or I think some senators were saying that they want to start working on a comprehensive federal pot legalization bill or something like that. So keep an eye on these names. They could start to get interesting going into the next couple weeks or so. Docu, again, decent bounce off the ADMA today. So although declining volume. Good stuff there. GG, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Let's take a look at skills. What skills to pay the bills? So skills possible doji sandwich here on the way down below the 50-day moving average. So I'd say a little bit of caution on that one. Good stuff. And the next here, you got PD on the radar as well. Let's take a look. PD with a nice bullish engulfing candle after yesterday's lower shadow. But I mean, they made that a tough one to hold right here. Basically bounced off the 200-day, right? So see if that can get any follow through after today's candle. It looks like somebody stepped in and started buying it. So good stuff there. And Brett, what's going on? Going to see it? Yeah, wild day today. Absolutely. X again was on our radar. So inside day down with the gap, and then they bought the dip, just like basically everything else here today. PLTR. Again, another weak name from yesterday with the gap down, and they bought the dip on that there too. So, but still below the 50-day. So may just kind of chop for a little bit before it starts to take some more direction. So good stuff there. Smiley, what's going on? Going to see it. Thanks for tuning in. Let's take a look at Amazon. So Amazonius with another engulfing candle here today with fresh all-time highs. I'd still say keep it on the bullish radar. It's got room, I think, to get to pretty close to 3,800 on a 3.618 extension off of the last harmonic up. So again, if it breaks over today's highs, it might see a little more upside action. And Apple is just super duper close to all-time highs. And again, let's see if they can do it tomorrow. So good stuff there. And bullish bearish trades, what's going on? Yeah, Boeing with a bullish engulfing candle. Again, on that news, that China news today, good volume right to the ADMA. So again, see if it gets any fall through. I think it's drifting up a little bit after hours. Let's see if they can gap it up tomorrow and maybe give it a little bit of a push. CRM with a nasty bearish engulfing candle yesterday. Big gap down today. Couldn't fill the gaps and below the ADMA. So a little bit of caution off of that one. Lyft was on our bearish radar yesterday. It did give us a nice gap down. And of course, they bought the dip on that one. And Roblox. So this is a big, nice win here today off of the dip from Paul's bullish radar from the bubble report this morning. So a nice bounce off the 50-day moving average, A, B, C down, right? And then let's see if it can continue to work its way up here on Roblox. Good stuff there. And Smiley, yeah, Roku and Tesla. Well, we covered those today for sure. That was the if you missed that in the beginning, that's the whole theme of this week's series. So definitely go back to the beginning and check out Roku and Tesla. And the Nest, iRobot. Let's take a look at this one right here. So iRobot, again, inside day down with the hammer, retesting the rest of the range right there. Trip. Let's take a look. Trip, yeah, so Trip again still working its way down here below the ADMA. See if it can tag the 200-day and possibly get a bounce off of that one. Par. Yeah, Par still struggling right here below the ADMA and ABMD. Let's take a look. ABM day, nice bounce off of the ADMA on this one. So it was looking pretty strong yesterday, so today might be a retrace off of it. Let's see if we can get over yesterday's highs and try to get going on this name here too. David, what's going on? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, let's take a look at the XBI. So biotech sector with a nice retrace today, back over the 50-day moving average. So you got names like mRNA that were strong in that one, right? So and I get a couple other ones, INO and maybe NVAX, right? So a couple of those names were pretty hot today. So good stuff there. SPRT, let's take a look. Yeah, that was a big mover the other day. So again, now it's kind of looking like a 1-2-1-2. So 1-2-1-2. Let's even get over today's highs and get going here again on that name. So that was a big mover recently. Good stuff there. And then coin, let's take a look. Coin with an inside day, right? So possibly working on that little mini bull flag. Let's see if we take the inside day up. Again, it kind of struggled here off of yesterday's breakout candle. So we were hoping we get above today's highs today, and it just couldn't do it, right? So let's keep an eye on it and see if it can move. So good stuff there. And Ink, what's going on? Yeah, Mr. Softy, let's take a look. So Microsoft, yeah, interesting pullback to the 80 man. See if you guys any follow through on that one, especially if the market is strong tomorrow. QDEL, inside day. See if we break above that over the 80 MA. See if we can get going. Okta. So Okta, yeah, decent retrace here today. Good volume on that one. So let's see if we can get over today's highs and maybe get a little bit more action. Snap, really, really tricky name here this week. Big gap down on this one. But again, this is one that was on our radar, both on the bullish side and the bearish side from our newsletter this weekend. It ended up taking the bearish direction. Nice breakdown yesterday, increased volume, and good follow through today. Again, the social media names were pretty weak yesterday too. Unity had a pretty decent dip by here today. They're off the 50-day moving average. So again, right back to the 80 MA. So let's see if we can get over that and get some more strength. Good stuff there. Yeah, nice catch on Vizio for Alphabets. I know, I love it. Yeah, good monthly view on that one too. Nice. And then bullish bearish, you got B-Big. Let's take a look at this one. BBIB. BIIB. Let's take a look. BIIB. So yeah, that's a really strong candle on that one there. So a nice gap fill on that. So let's see if we can push over these highs. And then, especially after that big move it had recently. And Mookie, what's going on? I'm going to see, let's take a look at Square. Square and PayPal. So Square is struggling there, right? So really not much of a bounce there. It ended up with a red candle today. Not as much hype as the other ones. And then PayPal, a little bit stronger, right? So volume's not there, but kind of retesting the flag and the ADMA and with a pretty decent green candle. So again, keep an eye on them, see if they're good, right? I'd really like to see the XLF strong to see like kind of some of these payment processors get going, but we'll see how they go. Good stuff though, guys. Awesome chart requests here tonight. Really appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this series here this week on Let's Track Roku and Tesla. So that was really fun going through this week. We'll have another fun topic for next week, and of course we'll be back Sunday for the Elliott Wave Show with Paul with Algo 382, where we'll compare charts and look at some cool Elliott Wave stuff too. So hopefully you guys can tune into that. And either way, guys, we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning here on YouTube for the Good Morning Market Prep video. And again, guys, thanks everybody for tuning in. Hope everybody has a wonderful evening and a great Friday tomorrow. Stay healthy out there, and remember your risk first and stay safe so you can stay in the game.